We're live.
Live indeed.
Yes, you and I have been apart for the last... Well, we haven't exactly been apart, but we haven't done the Joe and Joe Weather Show for the last Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, because one of the Joes hasn't been feeling too well.
That's right.
And we can kind of guess by the voice which Joe that is.
Well, you surprised me. I didn't think you were coming in yesterday, and
I'm a trooper.
You were hinting that you might not be in today.
Right.
So now what? You're going to screw everything up, my whole schedule and everything else, by not coming in
tomorrow? No. I'm much better today. If anybody watching last night
on your Facebook,
not your Facebook, on your YouTube. On the YouTube I did last night, would have heard my voice was a horror, but it's much better today. By the way, I'm Joe Cioffi, Fios 1 News Long Island and Fios 1 News New Jersey.
Yes, and according to the special legal disclaimer here, I'm supposed to say Joe Rayo, Fios 1 News, Lower Hudson Valley.
Why is that a disclaimer?
That's, it's something that we have to do in order to lead off this.
Oh yeah, right.
This show.
Right. Well,
and may I also say, any publication, reproduction, or any other use of the pictures, descriptions, the weather maps, and accounts of this particular weather discussion without the express written consent of Joe and Joe is prohibited.
You know what? In all seriousness, though, that is one thing that I really should say more often. We air these videos when we do the lives. Right now, it's 9:15 Eastern time. You may be watching it live. You might be watching it later. Just for the standpoint of when we're dealing with days where we've got stuff on the radar with severe weather like we might have tomorrow in a few places, please bear that in mind, that if you're watching this outside of the time that we're live, be sure to check for the latest radar and satellite. You can check it on the Fios 1 News websites. You can also check your local National Weather Service office at weather.gov. So just want to put that out there.
I'm kind of surprised, too, because I would have thought yesterday or even the day before yesterday that the potential for precipitation, while in the forecast for tomorrow, I would have said it was just going to be kind of a light, spotty, scattered rain or shower pattern. But now, over the last 24 hours or the last 12 hours, the folks over at the Storm Prediction Center are indicating that we could see a few rather strong and gusty thunderstorms, not necessarily, let's say, for Long Island, but for interior sections, parts of the Hudson Valley and northwest Jersey. That might come into play by later tomorrow or for a short while tomorrow evening.
Well, we also have the U.S. Open. My buddy Phil Buzz, my fishing buddy, is he's working right now, and he's working the U.S. Open the traffic detail there, and traffic out has been very heavy. It really looks like of the next 5 days, tomorrow's the one day that is not going to be ideal. But Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, terrific weather as the U.S. Open works its way through the rest of the week and into the weekend in Shinnecock on Long Island. And by the way, if you're not a regular out to that part of Long Island, the sea breeze this time of year comes in. So just bring a light windbreaker jacket with you, because it does tend to get pretty cool there in the afternoon. You go from low 80s to 60s in a blink of an eye.
And we're going to have a fairly vigorous west-northwesterly breeze, I think, on Thursday, Joe, behind the weather system that comes on through tomorrow to provide us with the shower or thunderstorm threat.
Bill Holcomb was watching us from Atlanta, Georgia. They say they love us in Atlanta.
Oh, great.
That is very good to hear.
In hot Atlanta.
I just want to acknowledge, no, Rich Marino, we're not drunk. I worked with Rich for a number of years. It's fine coming from him.
Right.
I'm just trying to check. A collective hello to everybody that is on board. Hello from Donna Bazanka Began in New Hampshire, my favorite state. To me, New Hampshire is paradise, and I don't know if you've ever been up to Lake Winnipesaukee. That is like the most gorgeous lake on earth, I think.
I have not been specifically to Lake Winnipesaukee. I have been on more than one occasion to New Hampshire, more often to its next-door neighbor, Vermont. And I think Vermont is a lovely state.
Oh, it's a beautiful state, but there's the character of the southern part of the state versus the northern part of the state is It's difficult.
I will point out there about Vermont. Vermont has a law. It's the only state in the United States, at least the contiguous United States, on the books. You cannot put big billboards or large advertisements alongside the road. You can't even put it, let's say, on a tall mountaintop that's visible from a roadway. They just simply will not allow that.
Right.
And that's what makes the roads in Vermont overall a much cleaner looking state than some of the other states. Case in point, when I drive to my in-laws' house in northeast Pennsylvania in the Poconos, it's almost like billboard after billboard after billboard after billboard.
Yeah, it is.
You won't see any of that in Vermont. So.
Right. I often used to joke around about the fact that in Vermont, a friend of mine who I went to school with, who lived there for a while, she used to say the sign when you come out of New York State in Vermont should say, "Welcome to Vermont. Now please leave." So it is pretty funny. Let's look ahead to where we're going with this, because we've waited basically all spring, Joe, to try to get something that resembles a streak of nice weather, and I really think that we probably could not have drawn this any better if we tried, because we're setting up for some very warm weather, but we're also in a good sweet spot here, because we're looking at the jet stream map here for Saturday morning. You've got this big upper high that is building into the Ohio Valley and Midwest, and that would start to push hot air in here, but we still have this trough just off the East Coast, and this is a good thing for us, because I think not only does it keep things dry from the standpoint of no rain, we're going to be on the edge of some rather warm air, but it's reasonably warm for the weekend, and also that northerly flow ensures that it's going to take probably until Monday before the humidity and the dew points come up enough for it to be considered uncomfortable, in my view.
Yeah, I think I would agree with you 100% on that. The upper level, the northwesterly flow, will probably help to keep temperatures, the dew point temperatures, in the 50s. Meanwhile, the temperatures that you just alluded to will, on Saturday, for example, rise into the mid-80s. And there's nothing like enjoying temperatures in the mid-80s when the humidities are just, in the criteria for comfortable conditions. Mid-50s is not bad at all for temperatures that warm. But when we get to Monday, I'm looking at temperatures, at least in the Hudson Valley, getting to within a few degrees of 90, and I think the dew points are going to creep up into the low to mid-60s. Not oppressive,
right,
but certainly muggy, and it will make for a more uncomfortable weather regime for our area late in the weekend, and especially at the start of next week.
I want to jump over to that severe weather issue for tomorrow, so just give me 1 second here, and I'll bring the map up. And this is for Wednesday. Okay. You didn't think
when we look at the convective outlook map for tomorrow.
Right.
This was somewhat unexpected, at least to me, because for the last few days, the Storm Prediction Center has literally broad brushed or covered most of the United States east of the Mississippi with just a regular area of possible thunderstorm activity, which even that was I was disagreeing with, because I figured that, the atmosphere locally was just going to be too stable, too cool and too stable to support this. And now today, as you can see, they have a slight risk of possible severe weather covering a good hunk of western and central New York State and central and western Pennsylvania, and even now into a part of the tri-state area, they have a zone of marginal risk.
Yeah, I was kind of torn with this tomorrow, because one of the problems is that anytime you try to get a warm front to come in from the southwest, it's always problematic around here, especially for Long Island. I mean, not so much for New Jersey, but for Long Island it is. And it's probably going to come to a grinding halt somewhere between Nassau, right near the Nassau-Suffolk line. So it might be in the 60s as you go east, and it might actually reach 80 as you head west and north into Long Island and back to New York City. I mean, is it enough that we could, for us to get some shower and thunder, some isolated severe thunderstorms? I don't know. I mean, I kind of think I would kind of lean against it, but every time I try to lean against something like that, I wind up getting burned. So
the timing is going to be tricky. Now, it looks like the cold front is going to be...
and we're seeing the warm front, by the way, setting up to our south.
Right.
The dry air that's overhead. I love these GOES pictures, Joe. The detail is amazing. You've got beautiful clear skies across the northeast. That's going to carry us through into the early morning hours before the clouds come in. I'm sorry.
If you use the Alan Casper Pittsburgh rule, and it looks like it's the thicker clouds are reaching Pittsburgh right now, which means that you add 8 hours, and it's coming up on 9 o'clock now, so sometime around 5 in the morning, the thicker layering of clouds are going to probably be arriving in our general vicinity. And I think what we're going to see tomorrow, Joe, is that we're going to probably see a lot of cloud cover, almost overcast conditions for a good bulk of the day. However, come about mid and late afternoon, it would not surprise me if the clouds started to break up a bit. We started getting these pokes or intervals of hazy sunshine, and with the cold front lying just to our north and west, that's going to be the key. It's going to be the key as to who is going to get potentially gusty or strong to severe thunderstorms late tomorrow evening, is whether or not any particular area or region gets enough sunshine. Passage of the cold front by the end of the day tomorrow evening could set that off. But again, with sunshine tomorrow, those temperatures you just alluded to a few moments ago, in especially inland spots, could get well up into the 70s.
Right.
And with enough rise in the dew point temperatures into the 60s tomorrow, that would be the juicy air that would complement the approaching front and the heating of the atmosphere by the sun to set the stage for thunderstorm activity. So if you're wondering about any thunderstorms tomorrow, I think your best shot of seeing any would come after, let's say, 5 o'clock. I wouldn't expect any thundery or convective weather before then. Certainly not in the morning and even during the midday. We'll have to wait until later in the day. The sun starts breaking through, temperatures start going up, cold front about to come into our area. That would be the setup for possibly a few thunderbusts.
Here's the HRRR's view of the radar. Actually, it brings stuff in between after 7 o'clock across New Jersey. One of the things that just occurred to me, sometimes with these warm fronts, when you get a situation like this, a lot of the energy just gets spent out with the warm front, and how much is left and how much time is left with the cold front when you get into that juicy air. I mean, I've seen it kind of go in both directions, where you think nothing's going to develop and it does, and then the opposite, where you think it's going to develop and it doesn't. This takes us to about 1 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow, and there's still light showers. This kind of suggests to me that the warm front seems to be getting a bit stuck, getting a bit hung up,
right?
Somewhere just west of New York City. Just want to take a look at the temperatures, Joe.
And this is what I was talking about for the last couple of days. I was thinking we were going to remain in that light, steady, or not steady, but I mean that light precipitation pattern, rain, not convective showers. But apparently now, from the information that the Storm Prediction Center is looking at, they feel that front will ultimately move to our north and will be for a few hours in that wedge of juicy air.
Well, the wedge is going to build if you by 1 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow. You can see the wedge if you want to use the 80-degree temperatures. Running up through south central PA on up into western New York. There's like a finger that's moving up there. Right. But then if you look where we are, it's got a printout on the HRRR of 74. I guess that's Hunterdon County. But it also has 66 for Poughkeepsie, 67 for Bridgeport. So you're looking at that marine layer just kind of, again, does it get stuck right across New York City? Does it make it through? That's going to be kind of tough. Just want to bring up the NAM, see if it gives us a similar idea. And, the NAM perhaps is a little bit more successful with trying to push that little finger of warm air, but it takes to the mid and late afternoon to do it. So, how much is this going to be there with the cold front? Well, the NAM kind of says not very much at all. It actually misses most of whatever is supposed to be around tomorrow morning, and then it really doesn't do very much after that, Joe. The NAM has not done well with these convective outbreaks that we've had so far in the last 6 weeks or so. So I'm kind of suspect on it. I'm not gonna hold too much value to what it's doing at the moment. I think the fair thing is just to put them in the forecast and just leave them there.
As the late Tex Antoine once said, a front is a front, and this is I won't say it's the sharpest and strongest front we've seen in recent weeks here, but it does seem to have just enough oomph to set the stage for possible thunderstorms late tomorrow evening. Again, that's going to be the time frame, and the sun now is not setting until after 8 o'clock in the evening anyway. So,
right.
So it'll be interesting, but again, I don't think we'll see any really active weather take shape until late in the day tomorrow or for a short while tomorrow evening. And then after the front moves through, nice breeze will kick in on west-northwesterly flow later tomorrow night, and that brings us to Thursday.
Thursday looking good.
It looks very nice.
Friday looks good. You've got a northerly, northwest flow. High pressure still to the north and west. That's a fairly decent shot of cool, dry air. And then that high settles off the coast. We get into a west wind this weekend. Again, I don't think the humidity really comes up. A little bit on Sunday, but it'll still be reasonably comfortable. I don't consider dew points in the low 60s uncomfortable. When you start to get to like 65 or 6, and that's a different story. But if we're at 60, 61, 62, I'm okay with it.
I would agree to a certain.
Monday's the hot, humid day. I don't think there's any argument there. There's a finger of 90, 90s. I'll get a little closer. But you can see, some big numbers here for 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Middle 90s west of Boston, 96 at Bridgeport, 94 for Poughkeepsie, 92 for New York City, 97 for down near Philadelphia. There probably won't be much of a sea breeze with the west wind. We've got this front that's going to be pushing down from the north. So, maybe Monday's the day you take as a beach day for sure, because even at the beaches, the sea breeze is probably going to be kept at bay, especially along the New Jersey shore if we've got a west wind.
Finally get rid of all that snow in my backyard.
Yes. By the way, I do want to point out, very interesting thing going on in the tropics that I think it's worth noting. So I'm going to bring up...
I'm glad you're about to bring this up. I think I know where you're headed with this. With that new tropical...
Now we're back connected. If you experienced an interruption there, we had a bit of a signal hit, so we should be back, and hopefully you all are still there. Bud is, what's unusual, Joe, is not that you don't get tropical systems off the Pacific coast like this. You do, but they more often than not move straight out to the west, and they're at least this time of year.
Right.
Usually it's late August, September. If they're going to get up into Baja, California, and the Gulf of California, you see them then. So it's a little unusual to see one this early. But we had it as a category 3 earlier today. Still barely holding on to that and weakening, but it'll probably come ashore over Baja Peninsula as a strong tropical storm. And then after that, the thing I was looking at, Joe, is the fact that it brings, and I'll switch regions so we can take a look at it back on the full U.S. view. The thing I was looking at, the area here in the southwest is incredibly dry. They got near drought conditions there, or drought conditions for that matter. And this is going to produce at least some beneficial rains for some of that area on the order of several inches or more. But it gets really just kind of lifted up pretty rapidly.
Right.
And then we get into some of it. But, if you didn't know it came from a tropical storm, you probably wouldn't notice.
No, but it's like what Charlie Brown sometimes says to Pigpen, you may be carrying the dust that was once trod upon by Solomon. Well, Tuesday, we may get some of the rain and showers that was once part of a tropical system off of Baja California, the Baja Peninsula area. So.
Well, we'll see how it plays out. In the meantime, let's just come back full screen and say hi to folks. David Schwartz, will we still get rain out of this tomorrow, even without any severe weather? I think there'll be some showers and downpours running around. What's the matter?
Jenna Russell.
Ivan, why aren't you? Hi, Yenna.
Ivan is one of our directors.
Yes, and Yenna's one of our other directors. Hi, Yenna. Ivan can make an appearance anytime. I'm sure he's trying to find some excuse to come in here in the studio and let me know that I'm needed for something.
Frankly, I wish I was in the studio right now, or not here in the studio, but back in the newsroom.
You want to do your thing?
No, I want to have a donut.
I told you could have a donut.
Well, you shouldn't eat a donut while you're on the air or when you're doing this. So
John Sears is staying to his Hi Teresa. And Teresa is saying hi to his sister John, her brother John.
Okay.
And I say hi to both of you. Raymond, you've got your slight risk up in Albany tomorrow. Raymond's a big, severe weather fanatic, so he's going to be at the window watching to see any potential severe storms up in Albany. Just trying to see here. Daughter returning for business trip tomorrow evening. Her twins, Nancy Mangles Pluto's probably having a conversation with somebody else. All right, got that. Betty Fulton Ivans about the Hamilton, New Jersey area for this. Yeah, let me just see where it is real quick.
Isn't this wonderful that you could just pick a place on the map and just automatically it takes you there? Google Maps will take you there.
Hamilton.
Sometimes you can say it in the yeah.
It's near Folsom, if that helps. I'm trying to find a main road. Okay, so it's down in South Jersey. All right, you might see some scattered thunderstorms there. You're likely to probably get into that fabulous warm sector. So, yeah, you might see some thunderstorms. Nikki Hen is on. Hi, Nikki. Lenny Fazio.
Lynn Kelly.
Michelle G. and Russo Murphy. Nice to see you here, Michelle. Chris Vella's on. So everybody's on board here. Good to see everybody here. As of right now, we are in the slight risk of severe weather here in the Pittsburgh, PA. Clifford, yes, you are. Very much so. You probably stand a better chance of seeing some of those thunderstorms getting a bit punchy than Joe and I do, but we'll see what happens tomorrow. You'll got anything else you want to share?
No. Sounds like you're running out of gas a little bit.
Yeah, voice is starting to thin out. I got to replenish on the tea. Okay, folks, top of the hour for me, Fios 1 News, Long Island and New Jersey.
And Fios 1 News, Lower Hudson Valley.
And be sure to tune in tomorrow morning for Brian Fitzgerald and Jeff Bansett on in the morning, right here on Fios 1 News. And
Brittany Bora and Addison Green. Was Addison here tonight?
Yes, he was. But he wasn't on board tonight. No.
I didn't
he went to bed early.
Hi, Addison.
He's very exhausted.
Well, all right.
Addison and Brittany will be on in the dayside. Joe and I will be back tomorrow evening with the latest rendition of the Joe and Joe Show. Take care. See you tomorrow.
Bye.